What if the pain in your joints isn't just a symptom to mask, but a signal your body is giving you, asking for a change in what you feed it? Here's a striking fact. Chronic inflammation is now considered a root cause, not just a side effect, of many types of arthritis. And what we eat can either fuel that inflammation or fight it. But here's the surprising twist most people don't know. Certain plant-based proteins don't just offer nutrition. They actively modulate the body's inflammatory response through specific molecular pathways. In other words, they're not just passive fuel. They're active medicine. And the most exciting part, you don't have to give up flavor, satisfaction, or strength to reduce joint pain and stiffness naturally. You just need to know which foods actually speak the language of your biology. So in this episode, we're diving into a science-backed performance-boosting exploration of the top 3 plant-based proteins that help soothe arthritis symptoms, not through trends or guesswork, but through what the research actually shows about inflammation, pain signaling, and immune system balance. You'll learn why some proteins actually reduce inflammatory cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, and how this affects arthritis, the specific plant-based foods that boost your body's production of joint protective antioxidants, how to time and combine these proteins to maximize their anti-inflammatory effects without overloading your digestive system, and how what's happening in your gut microbiome may be the key to unlocking long-term relief. Here's why this matters, not just for your knees, hips, or hands, but for your brain, your mood, and your energy levels. Systemic inflammation doesn't stay in one place. It can cloud your thinking, lower your motivation, and even accelerate aging in the brain. So when we reduce inflammation at the source, we're not just managing arthritis, we're optimizing your entire system for clarity, resilience, and performance. Let's unpack the research, and then I'll show you exactly how to integrate these powerful plant proteins into your daily routine. When we hear the word inflammation, we often picture something bad. Swelling, pain, redness. But here's what most people don't realize. Inflammation is not inherently harmful. In fact, it's one of the most intelligent survival systems your body has. Think of it like a fire alarm. When you cut your finger or twist your ankle, your immune system sends out pro-inflammatory messengers like cytokines and prostaglandins that initiate repair, clear out damaged tissue, and call in white blood cells. That's a healthy, necessary response. But here's where things go wrong when the alarm doesn't shut off. In arthritis, especially osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation becomes chronic and dysregulated. It lingers long after the initial trigger is gone, damaging the very tissue it was meant to protect. Cartilage breaks down. Synovial fluid loses its cushioning effect. The result? Pain, stiffness, and a growing sense of limitation. So what's happening on a biological level? One key pathway is NFKB, nuclear factor kappa light chain enhancer of activated B cells, a protein complex that controls transcription of DNA and plays a central role in regulating the immune response. In arthritis, this pathway becomes overactive, like a stuck gas pedal on an immune engine that's supposed to idle. Another major player is TNF-alpha, tumor necrosis factor alpha, a pro-inflammatory cytokine that's often elevated in people with rheumatoid arthritis. Drugs that block TNF-alpha, like biologic injections, are commonly prescribed to reduce symptoms. But what's fascinating is this. Certain plant-based proteins can also reduce TNF-alpha levels naturally. We'll look at that soon. But here's the psychological layer to all of this, and it's critical. When inflammation persists in the body, it doesn't just stay in the joints. It impacts the brain. Research shows that systemic inflammation can lower serotonin and dopamine, increase feelings of fatigue, and even contribute to depression. In fact, a 2015 paper in JAMA Psychiatry showed that people with high inflammatory markers were significantly more likely to experience treatment-resistant depression. So if you felt that arthritis pain comes hand in hand with emotional dullness or mental fatigue, you're not imagining it. The physiology supports it. Here's where the opportunity lies. By understanding that chronic inflammation is a pattern of dysregulation, not a permanent sentence, we shift from helplessness to strategy. We stop fighting the body and start modulating its responses. And food is one of the most powerful levers we have. A simple tool to apply here is this. Start tracking how your joints feel within 24 hours of meals. Not just calories or macros, but how your pain, energy, and mobility respond to different proteins. This creates personal feedback loops that help you listen to your biology more clearly. And for many people, the shift toward more anti-inflammatory plant-based proteins marks the beginning of relief. Now we'll look at how protein quality and source directly influence these inflammatory processes and why plant-based options offer unique advantages. We often think of protein in terms of muscle, growth, repair, recovery, but there's a lesser known truth that reshapes how we approach arthritis and inflammation. The type of protein you eat can directly influence inflammatory markers. This isn't theoretical, it's supported by a growing body of research. For example, a 2015 study in the journal Nutrition Research compared diets high in red meat to those high in plant-based proteins like legumes and soy. The plant protein group showed lower levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a key blood marker of systemic inflammation. Meanwhile, the red meat group showed elevations in IL-6 and TNF-alpha, both strongly associated with joint degeneration in arthritis. But why does this happen? To understand that, we need to zoom out and look at how proteins are broken down in the body. When you digest protein, you're not just getting calories. You're absorbing amino acids, the building blocks of all tissue, hormones, and enzymes. Certain amino acids, like methionine, are found in high concentrations in red meat and dairy. While methionine is essential, excess intake, especially in the absence of balancing nutrients like folate and B12, can raise homocysteine levels, which are correlated with both cardiovascular risk and inflammation. Foods like legumes, hemp seeds, and algae not only provide protein, but also modulate gut bacteria, which in turn influence inflammation at the systemic level. Here's a simple analogy. Think of animal-based protein as a dense source of fuel, powerful but potentially dirty burning when consumed in excess. Meanwhile, plant-based proteins are more like clean-burning fuel. They support metabolism while producing fewer inflammatory byproducts. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean all animal proteins are bad or that going plant-based is a cure-all. What matters is the balance and inflammatory profile of what you're consuming. And for people with arthritis, that means prioritizing proteins that do more than build tissue. They help regulate immune function. And here's what the research shows. A meta-analysis published in Clinical Nutrition in 2017 found that individuals who followed plant-based word diets showed lower IL-6 and CRP levels, with significant improvements in joint pain and mobility. In Frontiers in Nutrition, 2021, researchers showed that legume-rich diets reduced synovial inflammation in individuals with early-stage arthritis, likely due to their antioxidant and polyphenol content. A simple tool to apply is what I call the protein swap protocol. Once per day, swap a typical animal-based protein, like beef, cheese, or eggs, for a plant-based anti-inflammatory option, like lentils, hemp hearts, or spirulina. Over time, this consistent replacement reduces inflammatory load without creating stress or overwhelm. And here's the tip. Digestibility matters. Some people experience bloating with legumes, often due to FODMAP content. If that's you, try soaking beans overnight using pressure cookers or starting with split lentils, which tend to be gentler on the gut. Have you ever noticed that after a heavy meat-centric meal, your joints feel stiffer the next morning? That's not just coincidence. It's a biochemical cascade that you can begin to reshape one choice at a time. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. We go deep into science-based strategies like this every week, and your support helps us keep sharing research-backed content that empowers your health and performance. Now we'll dive into one of the most powerful and underestimated plant proteins for arthritis relief, lentils. You'll learn why they're a nutritional trifecta for joint health and how to make them work in your real-life routine. Of all the foods we could talk about for arthritis relief, lentils might seem underwhelming. They're humble, inexpensive, common, but don't let that fool you. Because when it comes to anti-inflammatory plant proteins, lentils are a nutritional powerhouse hiding in plain sight. Here's what makes them so effective. Lentils are rich in plant-based protein, about 18 grams per cooked cup. But unlike many high-protein foods, they also come packed with polyphenols, magnesium, iron, and soluble fiber. These aren't just bonus nutrients. They're key players in regulating the immune system, supporting gut health, and protecting joint tissue. Let's talk inflammation first. A 2012 study in the journal Phytotherapy Research found that polyphenols extracted from lentils significantly reduced pro-anaphylaxis markers like TNF-alpha and IL-1B in immune cells. These are the same inflammatory signals elevated in both osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So what's happening in the body? When you eat lentils, you're introducing compounds that interfere with NF-κB activation, the same pathway we discussed earlier that keeps chronic inflammation running like a stuck switch. Polyphenols act like moderators, helping your immune system remember how to turn the volume down. But there's more. Lentils contain an amino acid called arginine, which supports nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide improves blood flow and endothelial function, which enhances nutrient delivery to joint tissue, and that's a major key for healing. And then there's the gut. Lentils are high in prebiotic fibers, meaning they feed the beneficial bacteria in your digestive system. This matters because studies show that people with arthritis often have imbalanced microbiomes, a condition called dysbiosis, which contributes to systemic inflammation. A 2020 paper in Microorganisms found that introducing more fermentable plant fibers helped restore microbial balance and lowered joint pain scores. Let me ask you, when's the last time you thought of your gut as part of your joint pain? For most people, the connection isn't obvious, but the science makes it clear. What you feed your microbiome directly shapes your body's inflammatory tone. Here's a simple protocol you can try this week, the 3-day lentil rotation. Add lentils, red, green, or black, into one meal per day for 3 consecutive days. Prepare them with anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric, cumin, or ginger for a synergistic effect. Track how your joints feel before and after the rotation, and note any changes in energy, digestion, or stiffness. Some people notice subtle improvements within 72 hours. Reduced morning stiffness, a clearer head, or even deeper sleep, since inflammation affects sleep quality too. For others, the benefits build over weeks. Now, a common concern, gas and bloating. That happens when your microbiome is adjusting. The ease this start with split red lentils. They cook quickly and are easier to digest. Rinse thoroughly or cook with ginger or a small piece of kombu seaweed, which can reduce gas-forming compounds. Here's the empowering part. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet. You just need to add in what heals. And lentils are one of the most healing and affordable protein sources you can use. So, next time you're looking for a simple, satisfying way to feed your joints, your gut, and your immune system all at once, reach for lentils. They've been quietly powerful for centuries. Now, the science is catching up. Now we'll move from legumes to seeds and explore hemp seeds, a complete plant protein that brings anti-emulamic fats and powerful micronutrients to your arthritis-fighting toolkit. If there were a single food that combined high-quality protein, healthy fats, and anti-emulamic properties, hemp seeds would be at the top of that list. And yet, most people barely know what they are, let alone how to use them to relieve joint pain. Let's change that. Hemp seeds, also called hemp hearts, come from the cannabis sativa plant. But unlike marijuana, they contain no psychoactive THC. What they do contain is a remarkable nutritional profile that makes them a powerful ally for arthritis relief. Here's what sets them apart. First, hemp seeds are a complete protein, meaning they contain all 9 essential amino acids your body can't make on its own. That's rare for plant-based foods. This complete amino acid profile supports muscle repair, cartilage regeneration, and immune resilience, all crucial for people managing chronic joint pain. But the true power of hemp seeds lies in their fatty acid composition. Hemp seeds provide an ideal ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, roughly 3-to-1, which closely mirrors the balance needed for inflammation regulation. What does this matter? Modern diets often contain an excess of omega-6s from processed oils, fried foods, and grain-fed meats, which can tip the immune system into a pro-elementary state. Without enough omega-3s to balance them out, pathways like arachidonic acid metabolism become skewed toward producing inflammatory molecules called eicosanoids. By introducing hemp seeds into your daily routine, you help restore that balance, nudging the immune system away from inflammation. A 2014 paper published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that hemp seed oil reduced joint inflammation and oxidative stress in animal models of arthritis, partly by modulating lipid metabolism and reducing inflammatory cytokines. But let's bring it down to daily life. What does this mean for you? It means that something as simple as a tablespoon of hemp seeds in the morning can serve as a small but powerful shift, helping soothe inflammation from the inside out. I call this the morning tablespoon protocol. Here's how to do it. The morning tablespoon protocol. Each morning, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw shelled hemp seeds to your breakfast. Stir them into oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or sprinkle them on yogurt or fruit. Pair with anti-inflammatory companions like cinnamon, turmeric, or berries to amplify the effect. Stay consistent for 7 to 10 days. And track changes in joint stiffness, mobility, or even skin health, which often reflects underlying inflammation. Why the morning? Because research suggests that inflammatory cytokines tend to peak in the early part of the day, which is why people with arthritis often feel stiffest in the morning. Starting the day with anti-inflammatory fuel can help blunt that peak and support smoother energy and movement. And here's an added bonus. Hemp seeds are rich in magnesium and GLA, gamma-linolenic acid, that 2 nutrients that support nerve function and hormonal balance. That's key for anyone dealing with chronic pain, which can tax both your nervous and endocrine systems over time. If you found this kind of science-backed tool helpful, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We dive deep into actionable, evidence-based health protocols every week, and it helps us reach more people who are looking for real answers. Now, we're exploring something you've probably seen in smoothies or supplements, but maybe never considered for your joints: spirulina, a microalgae with macro benefits for inflammation and immunity. Most of us don't think of algae as food, let alone as medicine, but spirulina, a blue-green microalgae that's been used for centuries, is now gaining serious attention in the world of clinical nutrition and immunology. Why? Because it offers something rare, a plant-based protein that also functions as a bioactive anti-inflammatory compound. Let's unpack that. Gram for gram, spirulina is one of the highest protein plant foods on Earth. Around 60 to 70% of its dry weight is protein. And more importantly, it contains all 9 essential amino acids. That makes it a complete protein, just like hemp seeds, but with a unique twist. Spirulina delivers bioavailable iron, B vitamins, magnesium, and powerful antioxidants alongside that protein. But what makes spirulina especially valuable for people with arthritis is its content of phycocyanin, a pigment protein complex that gives spirulina its deep blue-green color. Phycocyanin is a potent free radical scavenger and COX-2 inhibitor, meaning it reduces the same enzyme targeted by NSAIDs like ibuprofen. In simpler terms, spirulina naturally reduces inflammation through the same biological pathway as many over-the-counter pain medications without the gastrointestinal side effects. A 2002 study published in Inflammation Research showed that phycocyanin from spirulina inhibited inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-1B and helped protect tissues from oxidative damage. More recent trials have explored spirulina's role in reducing arthritis symptoms in animal models, with promising outcomes on both pain reduction and joint mobility. Here's a useful analogy. Think of spirulina as a multi-tool for inflammation. It's protein, it's antioxidant, it's immune modulator, all in one spoon. Now, how do you use it? Because spirulina is so nutrient-dense and potent, it's usually consumed in small doses, typically 1 to 3 grams per day, though up to 10 grams is considered safe for most people. You can find it in powdered form, capsules, or pressed tablets. But quality matters, so look for brands that are third-party tested for heavy metals and sourced from clean, toxin-free waters. And here's a simple tool I recommend, the Spirulina microdose protocol. Start with 1 gram per day, about 1/3 teaspoon of powder, or 2 tablets. Take it in the morning with water, or blend it into a smoothie with lemon and greens to mask the flavor. After 5 to 7 days, observe how your joints feel, especially in the morning or after movement. If tolerated, gradually increase to 3 grams per day. You may notice subtle but powerful shifts, less morning stiffness, faster recovery from exertion, and even better skin clarity, another signal of reduced systemic inflammation. One more layer of science. Spirulina has also been shown to modulate the gut immune axis, the communication loop between your intestinal lining and immune system. This is critical in autoimmune arthritis like rheumatoid arthritis, where immune signaling is dysregulated. By supporting gut barrier integrity and reducing oxidative stress, spirulina helps calm the immune system without suppressing it. So if you've tried protein powders and supplements that left you bloated, wired, or inflamed, spirulina offers a radically different approach. Nourishment that supports inflammation resolution at the cellular level. Now, we'll bring everything together. You'll learn how to combine these plant-based proteins into a real-world protocol, one that supports your joints, your energy, and your long-term health from the inside out. We've explored some of the most powerful and overlooked plant-based proteins for soothing inflammation and supporting your joints. But here's the truth. Knowledge alone doesn't create change. Application does. So let's make this real. What follows is a science-informed, behaviorally realistic protocol, a way to weave these nutrients into your day so they support not just your joints, but your energy, digestion, mood, and overall vitality. We'll call it the Joint Recovery Protein Framework. It's grounded in 3 principles: consistency over complexity, what you do daily matters more than what you do perfectly, timing enhances impact, when you consume these nutrients affects how they influence inflammation, synergy creates momentum. Combining proteins with other anti-inflammatory elements amplifies their effect. Let's walk through a sample daily routine that integrates everything we've discussed. Morning, prime your inflammation pathways. Hemp seeds, 1 to 2 cups. Add berries or cinnamon for additional antioxidant support. If tolerated, add 1 g spirulina powder or capsule. Why morning? Cytokine activity peaks early in the day, starting with omega-3s and antioxidants, helps blunt the inflammatory cascade before it ramps up. Hemp seeds stabilize blood sugar and provide protein to start your day with steady energy. Midday, plant protein plus polyphenols. Lentil-based lunch, lentil-based, lentil salad, or lentil curry with turmeric. Include leafy greens and olive oil for additional anti-inflammatory effects. Add a fermented food like sauerkraut or kimchi to support the gut microbiome. Why this combo? Lentils are protein-rich, polyphenol-loaded, and feed beneficial gut bacteria. Adding turmeric, a COX-2 inhibitor, and healthy fats like olive oil improves absorption of fat-soluble antioxidants and supports immune balance. Afternoon spirulina boost optional, second dose of spirulina, 1 to 2 gg in a green smoothie or capsule. Pair with a short walk or stretch to keep lymph moving and joints mobile. Why now? Mid-afternoon is a common time for energy dips and inflammatory flares. Spirulina's antioxidant load and mitochondrial support can help sustain energy and lower oxidative stress. Evening, gentle, digestive, and recovery fuel lentil stew or red lentil dal. With ginger and cumin, add cooked vegetables, a handful of pumpkin seeds for zinc and magnesium, and a side of whole grains like quinoa or brown rice. Why lentils again? Red lentils are gentle on digestion and rich in arginine, which promotes nitric oxide production and tissue repair during sleep. Magnesium and zinc also help with sleep and recovery. Bonus habit. Track and adjust weekly. Use a simple 1 to 10 scale each day to rate morning joint stiffness, ease of movement, energy levels, digestive comfort patterns will emerge. That's where personalization begins. The protocol becomes a dialogue with your body, guided by science, refined by self-awareness. And here's something empowering to remember. This approach isn't about restriction. It's about nourishment. You're not just managing symptoms. You're retraining your immune system, rebuilding tissue, and reclaiming mobility. The proteins you choose can either inflame or heal. You now know how to choose wisely. If you've made it this far and this series has been valuable to you, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who's struggling with arthritis. We're building a community that's grounded in science, fueled by action, and committed to real change, one daily choice at a time. Now, I'll wrap it all together in the conclusion with a motivational recap, a final science-backed challenge, and your call to grow with us. Let's zoom out. You've just explored 3 of the most powerful plant-based proteins for soothing arthritis, grounded not in trends or marketing, but in cellular biology, immune science, and real human application. Here's a quick recap of what the research and your body wants you to know. Lentils offer more than just fiber and protein. They feed the gut microbiome and provide key polyphenols that reduce systemic inflammation. They are foundational, like bricks, in the walls of your cellular defense system. Hemp seeds go further. Their perfect omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and complete protein profile make them an inflammation modulating fuel. 1 tablespoon in the morning can reshape your immune balance in the direction of healing, not harm. Spirulina is the heavy hitter, microalgae with macro power. Its antioxidant phycocyanin rivals the anti-inflammatory effects of ibuprofen, while feeding mitochondria, modulating gut immunity, and delivering essential nutrients in bioavailable form. Now, let's bring this to your life. You are not stuck with inflammation. Pain is not a fixed identity. It's a process. And like any biological process, it can be influenced, reversed, even healed. Every protein you choose is a message to your immune system. Every bite can either provoke or pacify inflammation. Every consistent action becomes a brick in the foundation of better movement, better mood, better life. What neuroscience tells us is this: small, consistent actions change not just biology, but behavior. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to rewire, isn't limited to thought patterns. It applies to habits, pain pathways, even immune responses. When you shift your nutrition, especially toward anti-inflammatory proteins, you begin a new feedback loop in your biology. Less joint pain, more movement, better mood, more motivation, healthier choices. Repeat. That loop becomes self-sustaining. That's the power of aligned action. So here's my challenge to you. Pick 1 protocol from this series and implement it daily for the next 7 days. Just 1. Maybe it's the morning tablespoon protocol with hemp seeds, the spirulina microdose protocol, or adding 1/2 cup of lentils to your lunch and tracking how you feel. Choose one. Track the result. Reflect on the change, because in the end, it's not about perfection. It's about pattern interruption. It's about giving your body a new rhythm, a new story, and a new standard for what normal can feel like. And if you found this valuable, if you felt more informed, more empowered, or more hopeful, I want to personally invite you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join this movement. This channel exists for one reason: to help you optimize your mind and body using real science. Not hype, not hacks, but grounded, usable tools rooted in biology and behavior. When you subscribe, you're not just getting content. You're stepping into a space that respects your intelligence, honors your struggle, and equips you to take action. And if you know someone in your life, a parent, friend, or even colleague, who's quietly suffering from joint pain, share this video with them, not as advice, but as a gesture of hope. Because healing is possible, and it often starts with something as small as a protein and a choice. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay consistent, and stay kind to your body. I'll see you in the next video.